some really amazing people, go to some really kind of cool places, and yeah, it was great. I mean, there was some shitty times. It's tough to. It was like a really, for a time I got really resentful at, like, the fact that I was from 15 to 14. Those are not anyone's glamorous years at all. Like, I don't care who you are. 15 to 14 is a really awkward time in someone's life. So having a lot of kind of exposure in that time was it took a minute to kind of me to reconcile with that.
Like, you look back and you say, who is this that I'm watching?
None of us watch the old episodes. We literally, it's like we a few years ago we did a podcast with all of us, and we watched some clips, and everyone from my mom, my dad, my sister, and I were just like, oh my god, like, what are we saying? What are we wearing? Like, what are we doing? It was painful, but it was funny.
I mean, well, now you have these home movies. I mean, did you know what you were getting into? Because like you said, I mean, there wasn't a lot of reality TV, but you really were the first famous family that ever did this.
Yeah. And there was no roadmap. Now it's like, because of shows like ours and, Kardashians and, some of the other, like the Chrisleys, like, there's a roadmap that people know is there. And so you go on a show, and then if it does well after season 3, then you usually will start getting some endorsements and start selling products. And like, there's this whole kind of thing you can plug yourself in. And back then it was just like, all right, we're rolling. And like, here's the thing. I produce a lot of TV as well as hosting. The way we did it, there was only 2 shows ever in the history of family reality TV. It was ours and Anna Nicole Smith, where we had no producer interaction, we had no scripts, we had no direction. It was like, we woke up, there was a camera there, and they just followed us throughout the day. And I mean, if you were to do an audit of the producers of the Kardashians' email, and you looked at the scripts that they were getting, it's just, it's a soap opera at this point.
It is. And like, Anna Nicole was right after you guys. So right, it has changed. I mean, do you think the Osbournes like do not get enough credit for the Kardashians? Because that's
No, I don't. I always refuse to take. We can't take credit for that. They do what they do very well. They do what they do better than what we did. I mean, we they play the game because they know the game, and a lot of these, everyone on these shows knows the game to play. Now, we didn't. We were just kind of doing our thing, and when we got sick of it, we were like, yeah, I think we're done with this now. We want to, I never saw the Osbournes as like a lifeboat to a career, meaning like just to sit in it and wait. Like, I saw it as a bridge. I was like, cool, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to see where this takes me. And then I'm just going to keep going past it, and with a lot of these, shows, there are very few, not that I've had like a, crazy A-list get invited to the Oscars career post Osbournes, but I've consistently worked in TV for 20 years now on dozens of shows. And so I kind of look at it like, I know in what my abilities to be more than just a show at home with my family.
Do you think that's what most people do wrong? Obviously not the Kardashians, but a lot of these people, they don't realize like it could be a thing to, hey, one day you'll be on Discovery hosting a show that is an actual real career. They just think I'm famous and hey.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of the like, well, we'll just do this show and then do the products and sell, makeup and, whatever. And that's fine. Like, it's a total, hey, listen, I don't hate anyone's hustle. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't think, I can tell you this, I don't think many people are getting into reality TV because they love the art of reality TV. It's like, hey, this is an interesting way to make a living.
What was your relationship? I'm just always so curious to fame. Cause like, right, like you had a famous father, and then, you and Kelly were everywhere. You were on the red carpets, you were on hosting the MTV Awards, just everywhere. Like, did you have, like, people have like a lot of different reactions to being thrust into uber fame overnight?
Yeah, like I went down the kind of the cliche, kind of spiral of drugs and alcohol, and but I was very fortunate to, I got sober at 17, and, I've been sober since. And it's just kind of one of those things where I learned really early on what worked for me and what didn't. And I know, like, having that level of fame that I did have at that age, it's not good for me. I don't think it's good for many people. It's incredibly lonely. Like, my God, is it lonely? And I just knew, like, hey, I had to find the balance, and my balance was I went and did a lot of work in England, and I lived in America. So, like, as the notoriety in America kind of dipped, I would go to England, I would do a bunch of TV shows there, and they were all really successful. But I could come home and, like, I could go to the grocery store, I could go to the mall, I could live my life in relative kind of obscurity, to where I was able to just be anonymous to a degree. Yes, people, I would get recognized here and there, but it wasn't what it was. I mean, Kelly and I couldn't go anywhere.
No, you really couldn't.
I mean, I remember one time we were in New York City, and we were staying in the Peninsula, back when the show was on, and they had to bring in NYPD with barricades in front of the hotel because there was probably 300 people stood out in front of the hotel. It was like weird Beatlemania type shit, and I was like, this is cool, but fuck that. Like, I like doing normal things. I think something that people never realize until it's gone is that there is a huge amount of comfort in being anonymous, and being able to, like, go run an errand, go get a tire change, go to just do normal things. That's when that's gone, you're like, holy shit, like, I can't do anything.
Right. You're like, I just need to go to the store. I want, like, whatever.
Yeah. And some people love that. Like, that's what they want in life. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Like, I want to be able to fly coach sometimes. Like, it's like being able just to get on a plane and just sit there and be a normal person. Like, it's when you haven't had that, and not to sit here and be like, oh, poor me, whatever. It's like when you haven't had that for years, and then you can just jump on a Southwest. It's great. It's like, cool. Like, yeah.
Well, Jack, you might be the only person that has uttered the words that you want to fly coach sometime on this show, but I am here for it.
I am not. Believe me, I am not Mr. Bells and Whistles waving the fame flag. Like, for me, I do what I do because I got 4 kids. I like what I do, and it's all I do. That's all I know how to do.
Speaking of your 4 kids, like, if one of them came to you one day and said, hey, I was in the mix for a reality show, like, A, what would you say? And B, what advice would you give them if you were in favor of this?
I would be the worst. Like, if one of my daughters was like,